Welcome to Inhale, Exhale, Elevate. I am Autumn Shelton. Today's guest is Jamie Pearson. Jamie is the founder of the New-Holland Group, a global consulting firm serving international cannabis clients. Few leaders in the cannabis industry are as highly respected and influential as Jamie Pearson, and we are thrilled to have her on the podcast today. After spending more than 3 decades in global real estate investment, Jamie took a new direction, embarking on a career in cannabis. Jamie spent 7 years with Bhang Inc., one of the world's most recognized edible brands and known for its gourmet chocolate bars. For 3 of those years, she led the company's diverse executive team, managed the expansion through licensing plan, ran the capital markets division, and became the face of the brand that was catapulted globally before she departed in 2022. Jamie is widely known as a popular and engaging speaker at industry events. She implores industry leaders to share access, reject the plant stigma, and promote cannabis and hemp as gateways to wellness for not only physical health, but also communities and the planet.
Welcome to Inhale, Exhale, Elevate podcast. I am Autumn Shelton. This is a podcast hosted from our Santa Barbara Coast family cannabis farm to help keep your feet on the ground and your head in the sky. Autumn Brands and our female founders have a message that goes beyond just flowers. Learn about how our 2 families created a booming cannabis company that is leading the industry towards cleaner and more sustainable cannabis production. We aspire to move beyond strictly cannabis to help plant medicine lose the stoner stigma as we talk about all things holistic health.
Welcome, Jamie.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's dive right in. So you are one of the most influential women in cannabis and have this innate ability to bring both operation and relationship success. How do you do it all?
Well, how do I do it all? I think I'm just a busy mom. I think that's what we learned, that busy moms just get things done. And having, 3 decades of real estate experience dovetailed really nicely into cannabis because it was all about the details, devil's in the details. And I think if you can authentically engage with people and look for a win-win deal, and that's, I think, what has always been my secret sauce, both in real estate and in cannabis, not just taking care of myself in the deal, but making sure I'm taking care of myself in the deal, but I'm also taking care of the people on the other side. Your deals last longer. You build a genuine connection. And I think just probably having a PhD in small town, I grew up in a small ranching town in Montana, and your word really is your bond. I think all of those things conspired to help me, just be where I'm at today. I'm really, really, really blessed. And I'm really grateful that I get to do what I do because it's super fun.
I love that. I mean, obviously I know being a mom and a career is not easy, and, pivoting from different careers and how you just really changed from one industry to another, but we're able to bring all those skills, but also, who you are as a person and never letting go of that and really bringing that with you and everything that you do, I think is what makes you so special and incredible.
Thanks. Thank you for saying that. That's nice. I think one of the things that really happened for me is that I had this weird experience growing up where my dad was growing cannabis. I'm 55, so he's been growing 57 years. So I learned about the cannabis industry in the sense that it was clandestine. My dad could have gone to jail. It was definitely keep a secret in a small town is not easy to do. Plus, I have my cousin on my mom's side who's in Cypress Hill, and that definitely kind of catapults them into, royalty at the cannabis level. So I had those outside looking in insights into the industry, but I wasn't a smoker and I didn't use cannabis. And what my experience was coming into the industry is the people were so kind and accepting, and nobody shamed me for not using cannabis at the time. I use it now, but it was a process, so I think having that genuine experience of, look, I don't know what I'm doing, help me, and then just letting people teach me what was going on. I also believe that saying that if you want somebody to connect with you, let them help you. And I like to help people, but I also will let people help me.
So important to be able to have, I think, that mutual relationship especially in this industry. And this industry is still small, and we all to be able to work together. And I've certainly come around, certain people have come around that are kind of that egomaniac. But for the most part, everyone I feel like that I've for most of the people have just been really genuine and want to work together and help each other. And that's how we're all going to be so successful in this. So I love that.
Eventually. Yeah. Anytime soon.
So that was kind of, you led in kind of my question. I was, that you weren't actually a smoker beforehand. So what was the turning point for you to consume cannabis?
Oh, it was a multi-step process. The first thing was I got food poisoning at a family wedding that had a limited number of bathrooms, and my nephew was like, "Aunt Jamie, I promise you'll stop throwing up. You have to smoke this." And that was the first time really that I understood cannabis helps nausea. I stopped throwing up immediately. And I had couch lock. I just laid in bed all paranoid because I was laying in bed next to my mom. And I'm like, I wonder if she knows I'm high. But I was so happy to not be thrown up that, that was, I would say, the first dent in my steadfast belief that, drugs were bad and all of those things. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, that was a lie. And no wonder, this didn't work. I was a school teacher for a long time and during the DARE program, and that didn't work either. Because I think human beings want to be told the truth and want to understand things. And then where I'm at now, it's evolved full circle where I really recognize that certain strains, if I'm noodling an idea or a problem and I need to get deeper into my thought process, cannabis helps me. It helps me build empathy. Sometimes I'll either smoke or I'll eat an edible or whatever it is that I'm doing at the time. I really prefer pre-rolls. That's what I like the most.
Mm-hmm. Same.
But I'll smoke a pre-roll. I like Garden Society's dog walkers, and I invested money in that company, so I'm preferential to it.
And Erin Gore is kind of amazing as well.
She's amazing. Yeah. And then I go for a walk, and then you start thinking and you realize, whoa, your mind shifts, your paradigm shifts, and that doesn't happen naturally. For me, maybe it's a runner's high, similar or something, but for me, it doesn't happen naturally. And so, yeah, I've come full circle, and now I use cannabis regularly, and I'm at the point where I like the way it makes me feel way better. And so I'm really excited about the hemp-derived cannabis drinks that have exploded on the scene, because now my fridge is full of them. It's my go-to. I don't drink alcohol as much anymore. Like, I'll have a glass of wine now and then. I'm not, Cali sober or anything like that, but my alcohol consumption's gone way down. And, I do see cannabis as that gateway to health and empathy.
So with your dad growing cannabis, was there a stigma for you? Did that lead you into not wanting to consume, when you were younger?
Yeah, I had a couple of bad experiences where, like, I had a boyfriend in high school whose parents made him break up with me because he was dating the town pot dealer's daughter, and they told him he could do better. And yeah, it was sad. And I remember thinking, but I have nothing to do with that. And, but you just can't keep a secret in a small town. And my dad didn't give a rip. He was, bartering, like our patio. He, negotiated, pounds for cement and, things like that. The older I got, the smarter my dad got, that old saying, and now I realize, like, I hit the lottery with him. He's never been an alcohol drinker. And, he did 2 tours in Vietnam, and he's, he's a really, really good grower. He's a really good grower. And, people freak out when they see his dab lab. My dad built a C1D1 lab in the back of a freezer truck, like right out of something you would see on, Sanford and Son. on our ranch front yard. You wouldn't know that's what's in it. And then you go in and he's got a short path and he's got a rotovap. He's got everything in there. And I just say, some people's dads work on old cars. My dad likes to make his own dabs.
Hey, everyone's got their thing. To each his own.
Exactly. Oh, and he sings and he's funny and he's great. So
I have to say, one of my
sober. So that's the irony is my mom's totally sober. She got sober when I was a junior in high school. And what I love about their relationship is he's a wake and bake pot smoker, but she's like, well, that's him and that's not me. And it doesn't have to be this big drama. They're still together. They've been together almost 60 years. And, my parents are cool.
I think that's the beauty and the longevity of any relationship, whether you're a married couple or with children. I've been reading a book about children and Good Inside. I don't know if I've heard of it, but they talk about like the two truths, and it's okay for two different people to honor two different truths, but for you to also honor each other's truth, and that's okay, and be able to work together, in that way. And I mean, I think that's how relationships stay strong, and the communication is always there, and honoring each other and what makes you you.
For sure.
One of my favorite things, I got to see you be a moderator at a Benzinga event, and it was really impressive to watch you listen to every single one of the panelists, and then you turn to the audience and you were able to summarize it in terms that everyone else in the audience could really engage and understand. And I felt like that was so impressive. And I wonder if that was like from your teaching days of being able to, control a classroom and really be able to tie into every one of those students that are all over the place. Where do you think that talent comes from?
Oh, 100% teaching. I taught middle school. And I always say, if you can get a 13-year-old boy to learn adverbs, you can pretty much do anything. It's all behavior management. And I think part of what I try to do when I moderate is I always sit in the audience, and sometimes the mic will go in and out, or someone won't hold their mic close to their mouth, and you catch 2/3 of what they said, but not all of it. And sometimes there's questions from the audience and you don't hear that. And I'm hard of hearing. So for me, the hard of hearing part is I struggle in those conferences to get a lot out of it. And I really want the moderator to do the moderation. So I just, I'm one of those people, I have like very high standards for myself. So I'm like, well, if I know what I want, that's what I'm going to provide everybody else. And, I got a lot of feedback. I get a lot of feedback when I'm out in the world moderating panels or speaking on panels, because I taught public speaking, and, I helped Benzinga with their new moderation program. I'm like, you need one, So.
Well, that first guy at the thing, you couldn't hear him. I'm like, you can't hear what he's saying. And I loved, you're just like, speak up. It is. It's important. I mean, if you come to these things and you want to learn, you want to engage, it's really important to be able to be vocal and vocalize what you're trying to say and put it out there. And as a panelist, it's not always easy to be on the spot and really be able to put it together in a very summarized way. So to have a moderator that can really kind of do that is pretty powerful. So major kudos.
I would say I use my powers for good. I'm never going to be loud and shame somebody. I just want to make sure that there were so many great people in the audience and so many great speakers at that event. There was a lot to get out of it. So I feel like if we shape the behavior, which is the, teacher in me, and we can get people to go have their conversations outside instead of, in the room when people are listening and things like that, makes for everyone having a better experience.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell us about your transition from working on the branded CPG side of cannabis to launching your own worldwide company supporting the industry, and how your prior experience helped change the cannabis space.
Well, I'm really just doing a lot more of what I did at Bhang. I always say my job at Bhang was to go kiss frogs. So I would fly around the country and look for who was going to be our prince in, Louisiana or New York or wherever we were, what market we had our eye on that we wanted to jump into. And then I would go either attend a conference or, set up meetings and meet with people. And I would tell you that trust but verify. I toured a lot of facilities, and everybody told me their facility was amazing. And then you go into these facilities and they're not all amazing. I think they believe their own statement, because I think there are a lot of people out there doing what they do and they have no idea what's going on, at a global level. And I've had the privilege of being able to fly around and meet people and see what they're doing at a global level. I've been in grows all over the world, literally. And I think, going back to your question, now what I do is I do that for companies. So what'll happen is a company will call me and they'll say, we want you to do for us what you did for Bhang. Well, what does that mean exactly? We want to leave Europe and enter US, or we want to leave the US and enter Europe, or we would like to have 3 more licenses in other states. Well, I probably already know the people that they need to be in business with. That doesn't mean the other people have spots open or are interested in whatever that product is. But I'm going to go around and find out who the best fit is. And the first thing I have to do is analyze your business. One of the things I did at Bhang when I took over, we had just gone public, and the CEO had stepped down 4 months after we went public. And I really had no insight into what was going on at the corporate level because I was just out kissing frogs. And when I took over and saw the state of the bookkeeping, the whole thing was in shocking disarray.
How does that happen as a public company? There's so many regulations, and they had to have been one of the first, right? Cannabis.
Oh no, we weren't one of the first. We were in that first wave, but we were at the very end of the first wave.
Okay.
And in hindsight, what I know now is, they saw us coming. There were private equity companies and investment banks who that was a greedy period, I'll call it, in cannabis. It was, the birth of MedMen. It was the birth of a lot of these, big companies and a lot of investor greed. And look, I will put the onus on the investor in a lot of places. I invest. I'm a prolific investor. I've been an investor for a long time. I've been investing in real estate, investing in cannabis, investing in all kinds of things, startup companies. I do angel investing. I'm part of a private equity company. So I'm like the living, breathing Shark Tank. That's what I do all day long, And what I'll tell you is it's really easy to say no. You have to be super compelled to write that check. And a lot of what happens in these investing worlds is you write a check because your buddy told you, oh, I invested. And you think, oh, well, that guy's sharp. He probably did his due diligence. But it's on you to do your own due diligence and to ask some. Wouldn't have taken very many good questions, 1 or 2 basic questions, and you would have not made the investment in a lot of those companies that you invested in, because what they were promising was pro forma, which basically means my best guess. I'm going to show you pro forma what we're going to do next year, which means if all the moons line up, if I get all the money I think I'm going to get, if that sales contract goes through and all the ifs fall in my favor and all of the things work the way I think they're going to, then this is how much money I'm going to make. And I'm not going to write a check on that. I don't do that type of investing. Some people specialize in it, but I don't like it.
So what do you think one of those questions that most people miss in asking in this kind of situation?
What is your source of revenue right now? Does the revenue you bring in right now pay the bills? And and it's okay sometimes for that answer to be no, because especially like I sit on the board of a hemp beverage that isn't making money right now, but they've got the contracts in place, they fill the orders, they've got the margins, they will be there. You can already see they've got the revenue coming in, but they got to, they got to pay for what they're selling that makes them money.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the math, and the math is really clear.
That's a great tip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, too many companies are not focused on revenue, and
Yeah.
so another thing I do at New-Holland Group is I help companies raise money. And what I do mostly is I say to them, show me your deck. And the deck will always say, this is our great idea. This is our competitive set. This is how much it costs us to make this and what it costs us to sell it. And this is what we need the money for. And this is how much money we need. And then there's always that one piece of information that's missing, which is, and what's in it for me? I'm the investor. Like, show me how I'm going to make
I'm
money,
going to benefit.
Yeah. And going back to Shark Tank, they get up and they're like, hi, sharks, I want $100,000 for 10% of my company. Okay, so now I know as an investor, I can potentially buy 10% of your company. Most decks in the cannabis industry are missing that piece, and it's the most critical piece to get someone to write a check.
And do you think that's more why it's more challenging to get capital these days? Because everyone talks about how hard it is to get capital because it's federally illegal and we have less access. But is it more so that maybe some of the people in the cannabis industry just don't have the tools or the knowledge of how to approach to get that capital?
I would say there's capital out there. Believe me, if you have a winner, you're getting funded. I mean, and we see that. We see the press releases where companies are raising money. And there's a lot of private money out there that is being deployed in the cannabis space. A lot of it's quiet. And I, the concept, if you build it, if you build it and it's clearly profitable, they will come. But what I will say is it's not necessarily that cannabis people don't have the tools. It's that we're building our businesses in prohibition in a very temperamental legislative landscape. Things, they had this happen at Bhang one time. I thought, I'm going to get really smart. I'm going to order a bunch of packaging from China. I'll do 500,000 pieces. I'm going to get the cost way low. We'll just store it in a warehouse. And then they changed the rule and all that packaging became obsolete overnight, instantly. Mm-hmm. You learn the hard way by making mistakes. And I always say to my clients, I made all those mistakes so you don't have to now.
Yeah. So now you can teach everyone. We certainly did that as well. Bought too much packaging and then it changed. Or you have to add another sticker. Thousands and thousands of units.
Another sticker, exactly.
Another sticker. So other than financial advice, what other advice would you give to those entering into the cannabis and hemp space?
Mainly that you just got to figure out what you're good at, what brings you joy, and do that. And then stay focused. I see so many people get the something shiny syndrome, I call it, where, I could do this and I could do that. And now that I have a manufacturing facility, or now that I have this, that opens this door, rather than just getting really good at what they're doing and making sure that that's making money. That your business plan and your business strategy actually makes money. I had a guy come to me a while ago and he wanted me to help him commercialize his cereal bar. And I asked him, how are you going to guarantee that cereal bar is going to pass lab testing? Every serving has to be, in California, 10 milligrams, and you've got a 10% margin of error. How are you going to know that the coating, which is what was infused on that cereal bar, is being spread at exactly the same amount so that every time you take that cereal bar to the lab, it passes testing? I hadn't really thought of that. Well, he had this great product. It's delicious. It was never going to pass lab testing. And if you can't do that, it's not commercially viable to scale. So it's just things like that. I think you just need to hire me and I'll tell you.
Perfect. Yeah, we knew a couple guys in the very early days that wanted to start a big distribution company, and one guy came from alcohol distribution, like big family, knew it all, and they came in and they spent millions on a warehouse, and it was all fancy and offices fancy.
Was that Verdant?
I wasn't going to say the name, Jamie.
Oh, I didn't realize we knew them in common. I was having deja vu all over again. I don't think anybody remembers them except you and me, so I think we're safe.
Well, they were very nice guys, but unfortunately, yeah, the sales part of it they didn't have down and didn't know that what to do in that aspect, and it was still very much a speakeasy type of situation, back then in 2018 to try to get into these dispensaries, and yeah,
And they raised
and
a
they
bunch of money too,
bunch of
didn't they?
money.
Well,
Yeah,
one of
that was a
those
sad
guys is
one.
doing really well now. He's in Missouri kicking butt.
I saw him on LinkedIn. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So crystal ball, how do you see that? Where do you see the cannabis and the hemp industry in 5 years, next 5 years?
Wow. I think that I would, if you had asked me this question before the Chevron Supreme Court ruling, I would have said we're going to be in Schedule 3. What I believe in Schedule 3 is you see these, the HIMS, the HERS, the erectile dysfunction, minoxidil for hair loss, menopause for women, where you fill out a questionnaire online and then they send the meds to your door. Ozempic, Wegovy, all that stuff. That's all Schedule 3 drugs, which does not require you to visit a doctor, but a doctor has to review your information. You might have to have a telemedicine, or they just review your survey. What that basically means is if everything were to go, there's another if in the statement, but if everything were to go the way that I predict it will, the U.S. Postal Service will be delivering medical cannabis to people's doors, and you'll be able to cut out that distributor. So for example, I had a client, or have a client, the company Hello Again, that makes vaginal suppositories for women in menopause. That product is better suited to be delivered right to your door. Women in menopause don't go into dispensaries and say, what do you have for menopause? Do you have any vaginal suppositories?
Yeah.
But I think that product is so efficacious and it's so needed, and it serves a lot of consumers really well. And so having it available is good for humanity, So I think at the end of the day, having the U.S. Postal Service delivering mail medicine to your door is a wonderful thing. And I would have predicted pre-Chevron that that's where we would have ended up, and that we would still have in states, we would have cannabis dispensaries, going to get your recreational cannabis. Now I've read people on both sides of the Chevron spectrum saying this is terrible, the DEA has no power, or this is wonderful because the DEA's been playing games with us forever, and now a judge is just going to say enough already and make it Schedule 3. I don't know what will happen. I would like to see cannabis descheduled. However, I do believe that there are medical products where cannabinoid therapy is appropriate, and having that, with doctor supervision, being used in the medical sphere. I would like to see the medical cannabis side continue to evolve and grow, because I do think that we could be substituting cannabinoids for a lot of chemicals that are harmful. And we just don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. My only thought with that in the medical side, and if it's telemedicine, then your options, are you can access any doctor anywhere in the United States, but we still are limited on doctors that believe in cannabis as well, right? So an access to a doctor that could actually help somebody if you had to go into a physical office could still be a challenge for everybody. But I've read three different sides of the story. Just like you said, it's the end of the world now and it's never going to happen, or we've focused on medical marijuana, so this changes nothing because this is really what Biden has done, is more the HSS version, and then the other one's like, no, now we can just fight against it and we're going to get it. So, but we definitely need to, decriminalize this. I think that's the only way for cannabis to ultimately really survive, is for us to be able to have interstate commerce as well. But obviously
would have been a huge game changer for me at Bhang, is being able to manufacture in one place and distribute, throughout the country. Because having 50 different manufacturing facilities is asinine. You wouldn't buy 50 flow wrappers. No company would do that. And, it's just silly. And I understand it. The wheels of the government don't turn quickly, and they don't turn logically, because it's all politics. And that's what I just remind people, is that you're building this airplane while in flight, and you've got the government sort of has the airplane on ropes and they're kind of holding it down. So it's a matter of time, I think, that by the time we have grandchildren or great grandchildren, the world's already so different. When I think about my kids and where they're at in their cannabinoid journey, my son's a pilot, so he can't he's drug tested, he can't use alcohol and all of that. But both of them are, aware. They grew up in a time where they don't remember when cannabis was illegal. Think about that.
That's, my kids will
Their
never
entire
understand.
life it's been legal, so the world's already changed significantly.
No, I agree. My son's first words were Autumn Brand. So that is all they know.
That reminds me of when we had our daughter in kindergarten, and my husband used to drive this big U-Haul truck, and on the side of it, it said, "We buy houses fast cash," and then his phone number. And the kindergarten teacher said, "Okay, well, you need to work on, because Lacey doesn't know your phone number." She said, "Yes, I do. We buy houses fast cash too." So she didn't know our phone number. She looked at this giant billboard every day in her driveway.
And that's what she knew. Kids are interesting. They teach us a lot too.
How many kids do you have?
I have two. I have an 8.5-year-old boy and a 4.5-year-old girl, going on 16.
Great ages. I found 4 and 4.5 way harder than 2. The terrible 2s were not terrible, but 4 was. It was, I do it.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta go. I do it.
This little girl, though, is like the dream communicator. She is so articulate. Like she blows us away every single day. And she's pretty incredible. So she's pretty easy to kind of flip around when she's like, and she is. I mean, she has to be the leader and everything, and she's got to be in charge. And so we're teaching her that others can
come up with all that.
Apple tree kind of stuff, I guess. But yeah, she's fun because she can communicate just so incredibly and with anybody, and so it makes it easier for sure.
Yeah.
So our question of the day is, how do you elevate daily?
Usually a pre-roll.
Yeah.
At the end of the night. Yep. When I go on a walk. Yep.
Are you a sativa, hybrid, indica girl?
Definitely sativa. Definitely.
Yeah. Same.
Yep. Or sativa leaning. I mean, it's all hybrid now, but what I've figured out is it's limonene is the terpene that if the cannabis is high in limonene, it doesn't matter what it's labeled, sativa, hybrid, or indica. If it's high in limonene, I do well with it.
Interesting. I'll have to look at that myself, because I'm definitely sativa. I get really grumpy on indicas and even some hybrids. I'm like, this isn't what I wanted. Yeah. But the sativas just feel so good, and energy, and
Well, I just tried this product. What is the name of it? This wonderful woman, and there are these natural fruit bites. And I think it's the same manufacturer that you have. And they're organic, and they're made with dates, and they're not, there's nothing inflammatory in them. And the high was so fun. It was so good. So
I got to think, I'll have to ask. I think they were just telling me about that product. They're incredible. The manufacturers we use are pretty amazing in the products that they can put out. And I think going to really help. Infused by Splash is definitely going to make some big changes. A big splash, I should say.
It's called in our industry.
Happy Chance. Yes. Of course. They're local.
Good. They were so good. So what are you working on?
Earlier this year, we launched our intimate wellness line, Now Melt, which has been pretty incredible to see the popularity of it and the need for it. So we are going to actually turn that into a hemp line of products so that we can sell it in all 50 states and provide more access to others around the state. So hopefully that will launch this fall. And then also we're about to launch a diamond infused pre-roll at our brand. So those are kind of our big product development. I have a lot of fun with the product development. At the end, I'm always like, okay, I gotta wait a while. It's so intense. And then as soon as I'm done, I'm like, okay, let's do more.
Yeah.
Because it is.
I'll get to California and get to try all of it.
Yes, you have to come visit.
Yeah, the wonderful Angela helped you create all of that, right?
Yeah, she did. She did. Oh, she was a dream to have with us for 6 months. We just adore her and her incredible brain and how she was able to kind of really help bring the vision to life. And so it's been a great year.
Yeah, good. That's amazing. Yeah, I do plan to come to the Santa Barbara area in August.
Okay.
So I'll have to come.
Yes, come visit.
Come see the farm.
I'd love that. That. Well, where can our listeners find you?
I am jboogie.22 on Instagram, and I'm just on LinkedIn. I'm not a big social media person. I know I got to get better. And I've been so busy that I have not yet built a website, but I've engaged somebody to do that and, get a website built, and it'll just be New-Holland.group. So that's coming. But right now I got to catch my breath. 'Cause, with Germany going legal, and I read, write, speak fluent German, my kids are German citizens. The German market was a natural one for me. And it's been amazing seeing what's happened in Germany just as they plug along. So a lot of
exciting.
My clients, both in Europe and in America, really have their eye on that German market. It's a big market when you think about 85 million people in this space the size of like Oregon. It doesn't take a lot of infrastructure to hit a population density. So it's a pretty cool market. And the way the Germans have rolled it all out has been super interesting, logical. They got a lot of things right. They didn't get everything right, but they got a lot of things right. So it's been really fun to watch. And so, that's partly why I haven't built my website, because I've just been busier than I can manage anyway. But it's time,
Yeah, you need to have someone else do that for you. Don't worry, you got so many things on your plate. Don't take that one on.
Yeah.
I've learned it's important to delegate. Delegate where it is not your strong suit or not time that you should be spending.
For sure.
This is part of my journey. Thank you so much for coming on today. This podcast is an extension of Autumn Brands, which was formed by the passion and knowledge of two families that focus on wellness, balance, and a higher self. Our family farm along the coast of Santa Barbara County uses sustainable farming techniques, natural sunlight, and pesticide-free cultivation. You can find our products in dispensaries and delivery services throughout the state of California by going to autumnbrands.com and clicking on the Buy Now button. Follow us on Instagram, autumnbrands_, to learn more. Thanks for listening to Inhale, Exhale, Elevate. I am Autumn Shelton.